Hey everybody, welcome to our fourth video in the series about course designing. Um, in the first three, we covered how to create a random layout, uh, modify the fairways, the greens, the tee boxes in terms of the width, the texture, the width of the rough, the deep rough, the fairway, size of the green, how to make a course from complete scratch with no holes on the layout, and you just measure, use the measure tool and measure out the holes you want, and then lay the holes in over those. So now we're going to get into a little bit more on the editing of surfaces. So if we go anywhere we want, just go to the Edit Holes menu, go to Surfaces. Basically, we can create our bunker anywhere we want, any size we want, any shape. Same thing, we can create a green, fairway, rough, heavy rough, cart path, mulch, or a secondary cart path. So we'll go create a bunker. There are multiple ways. For almost all of these surfaces, you can use what they call a spline tool, where you will draw a line or a shape, and then when you're done, it will lay in that surface. So let's just do one real quick. Let's say we're going to use a spline tool to create a bunker. And I want a bunker that runs down a little bit behind. So I'm just clicking my X button and then using the left stick to kind of draw a line. And I'm going to draw a line here. And I can leave it closed if I hit the circle button. I've left it. So now I can, when I get on it, I can go to the bunker spline handle, select it, edit it, and I can make it wider. Zip. I can say I want a secondary surface, and that secondary surface I want to be fairway, so it puts a light edge of fairway right around it. Not very big. Or I can say I want it to be light rough, I want it to be heavy rough, I want it to be mulch. Some of them show up better than others, but so if you're happy with it, then you leave it like that, and you have a spline. I can also go edit the spline and smooth. I go to the secondary width, and I can make that smaller or wider, and so it makes the little area right around it smaller or wider. I can smooth or sharpen the edges, so I want to smooth, so it's kind of rounded. And I could delete it, or I could copy it and put it somewhere else. So I copy it, and I go over here and drop it. I just put that exact same spline over there. I can come over here to the end, spline point, move the spline point, place it there. Get back on your bunker spline. Move point, move spline. So if I say move the spline point, now I'm dragging it, and I can kind of play with it from that standpoint. So you can kind of play around with it like that. So I could also, the other option is, if I go back to create surfaces, I create a bunker, I can use what's called a bunker brush tool, where I get all these predefined shapes. So I can pick a predefined shape and say, you know what, I want to put a bunker right there in the middle of the fairway. Boink. I can put it there, and I have all these predefined shapes to work with. I can put another bunker attached to that bunker, or this bunker. Or I could put something over here. So those are some tools. If I wanted to say, if I put this green in, I will move down, we'll say I want to create a green. So I have a green here, but I'm kind of limited to the shape of it. I could say, well, I can make it larger or smaller, but the shape is what it is. So I could click green, I could do spline tool, and I could say, well, I want my green to extend out over like this. And then I go back to where it starts, and I get that little green paint tool. I click that, it filled in that whole area with green. So I just made a funky looking green with this big hill all the way to the back. And why I might do that is because I might come in here then and say, okay, well, here's my pin. Maybe I want to move it. Well, maybe I just want to add another pin position way back yonder. I'm going to put a pin position back there, requiring you to hit this green in between these bunkers and roll down to the hole, as an example. So that's how you might use the green tool. Let's go back. Great surfaces. Fairway. Maybe I want to make an alternate fairway. So there's another way to get to this. This would be you could do this with the brush tool as well. You have all these shapes. Maybe I'll take this shape. And if you look at the menu on the right hand side, I can scale it. If I press the up arrow, it makes it bigger. Right arrow rotates it. Maybe I want to put a big honking fairway right here. Boom, I just made more fairway. And I'll put another one right there. And right there. So now, you may not need it, you may not use it, but it's a way to create a completely new golf course, if I wanted to. So likewise, we have like this hole right here. We'll make an example out of this hole. We'll go to the hole 1 fairway settings. And the fairway width is 35 yards. We're going to make it 0. No fairway. All of a sudden, I've got this hole with no fairway. This is the light rough. And you know what? Rough settings, I don't want that either. No light rough. All I have is a tee box and a green 460 yards away. And so, you know what? I'm going to make my own. I'm going to make my own fairway. So we go back to create surfaces and we go to fairway. Now I could use the spline tool and I could draw a fairway in. So let's see. Let's say I don't want the fairway going all the way up there. I want the fairway about here. And it's going to be a little tricky to determine how wide this fairway is. So now I did something. I'm like, I don't want that. So I want to undo the previous point, which is a triangle. And I can do this all the way back. So basically I'm drawing in, what do I want this fairway to look like? There's my fairway. So that's my fairway. And, alright, we'll take that. So now what we want to do is we want to come back, go back to create surfaces. Suppose I want to create a light rough spline tool. I want to put light rough around the edge of this fairway. And again, I'm doing this quick. I know I kind of got right over the top of the tee box. So if I put it down here and I close it, it will put fairway around, or put the light rough around the fairway. So they go in order. I cannot put light rough in the middle of my fairway, and I can't put heavy rough in the middle of my light rough. They're layered. So if I wanted something in the middle of the fairway to be rough, I would have to consider that when I put my fairway together first. But what I can do is I can create a surface and a bunker and a brush tool, and I can put a big honking round bunker right in the middle of my fairway, like so. And then I get a fairway in the middle of or bunker in the middle of my fairway. And so now I not only designed the hole, but I designed the complete fairway the way I wanted it as well. So you can add surfaces. We added bunkers, we added green, we added fairway, we added light rough. We can do same thing with the heavy rough. Now suppose I want a cart path. So you see there's cart path, then there's mulch, there's cart path again. So if I take cart path, I'm going to use the spline tool as opposed to the brush tool because I'm going to want to draw a long line of where my cart path is. And I get to pick my cart path width is going to be narrower. The cart path texture, I have all of these to choose from. Some of them say cart path, some say mulch, pine straw. So let's take this cobblestone sort of cart path. And let's go to our spline tool and say, all right, from this, we're going to draw a cart path. It's going to go around, not too close to the fairway. It's going to go here, and it's going to go around this little lake, right up to the next green, and I could keep going. So I put it in, I have my cart path. And I can edit my cart path. I could say it has a secondary surface of mulch, if I want. And then it puts a little mulch path around my cart path. Okay. And I go secondary width. I can make that mulch narrow. I can make it super wide. But when I say the width, it's not just the little bit you see to the left or right of the cart path. It's the width of, figure the mulch is under the cart path. So it's the width of that. So when I get to 56, 54, if it's the same width as my cart path, then it won't be seen at all. All right, smooth and shapen. We like a smooth spline. All right, so now we have our cart path. We created that surface. So we created green. Let's go back and recap here. Create surfaces. We've created bunkers, green, fairway, light rough, heavy rough, cart path. We put the mulch under the cart path, but now we have a different cart path. Cart path spline tool. Let's put something over here. I don't know why we would have this, but we do. So we have that cart path. Edit. Select. Cart path texture. Let's see if this one makes it different than the other one. So this is different. So this is a cart path that's different than the other cart path. Secondary surface, maybe this one. Secondary surface we want. Light rough as our secondary surface. Secondary width. So for whatever reason we wanted another type of surface. Maybe we had one that we called the cart path. Maybe we have another one that we call the trail and it was doing something else. Or we wanted the cart path to be this, but we wanted to put in a city street that looked like that. Different reasons we'd want different settings. So that's it. Those are the surfaces we can put in, and a brief rundown of kind of how you can lay them out and what it'll look like when you're done. Now we have objects. We're going to have a whole different video talking about objects because as you can see, there's a lot of them, and you can get into some interesting things. And we'll have another video where we talk about water because there's a lot you can do with water. So we'll leave it right here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.